Hello and welcome to MotorInc First. It's been Karthik's turn to travel. He went to the city of gardens. He went to the city of gardens, Bengaluru, the heart of Indian electric land, to drive the new Tata Punch.ev. And he's going to tell us all we need to know about the new Tata Punch.ev, which I think is the official way to say Punch.ev.
Yeah, that would be about right. Punch.ev, right?
Yeah, so Punch, electric.
Correct.
So we're done, right?
Yeah, I think it's as simple as saying it's the best affordable EV that you can buy in the country today.
Best affordable EV?
Yeah.
That's the ether, right?
If you wanted to get a four-wheeler that was electric, I think this is what I call as the pivot cars. You know, invariably you have certain cars that really, cars and bikes, of course, that hit home, and invariably you end up comparing every new vehicle to that, anything you're considering, right? And I would end up comparing any electric that comes into this space with the Punch.ev.
Oh, so we are not done yet. We are going to begin to find out why it has such a milestone car, or likely to become such a milestone car.
So I had some questions about the Punch before I went in. Those got answered. I was wondering where it's going to fit in and what really it was going to do. And why did it take them so long to come out with the Punch electric? This should have come a long time back, right? So we got answers to all of that, and there are interesting details about what's been going on behind the scenes, why it got delayed, and how they got to where they are now, where we can say that this is, I would say it's better than the Nexon, so it's impressive. Yeah.
Oh, so no great expectations at all. My God. Okay.
Yeah, this was the first. So yeah, okay. Let's just sprinkle a little bit of caution and say that probably is. Yeah.
Okay. Where would you like to begin?
Let's go simple.
Okay.
Go same. Start outside. First impressions. In the pictures, I didn't like it.
Okay.
I don't think I was wowed by it in the flesh either. The Nexon's face now is on the Punch, right? And the smaller narrowness of it somehow doesn't quite feel as impressive on the Punch,
Okay. So it doesn't have punch.
Not visually.
The Nexon has punch, but the Punch doesn't have punch.
Yeah, no. It doesn't quite click for me. Does the design not look modern? It looks modern. It's got all those, the connected LED DRLs up front, and
which wave to you in heavy motions and all that.
No, that's only the high-end cars, yeah, where they have the projection and all.
But didn't the Nexon also flash its lights at you?
Oh, that it does. That it has. So this is called the handshake goodbye and handshake and goodbye features or whatever. In this, but in the electrics, what they do differently is that the front LED DRL doubles up as a indicator of sorts.
Okay.
So when you plug in the car to charge, it shows you the battery charge level. So it's got 5 different levels at which it can indicate.
So it's not in the app?
So it's in the app as well. Oh. But when you just plug it in and you can see it, and
no, I'm making a joke. I know that this is a useful feature. Please don't get me wrong.
It's just like a feel-good feature. I don't think it's really very useful because, like when we said for the Nexon EV also, when you park and it's facing the wall, it's not like you can see it, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like it remains on that if you're from a distance, you can look at it and say, "Ha, 50% ho gaya," right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
because that might actually have been useful, right?
Yeah, I would have thought so. That
and also, if it went to 100 and then switched itself off at that point of time, then also from a distance, let's say I'm at a McDonald's across the road or whatever, you could see that, oh, my car's finished charging.
I can also see people saying, oh my God, that's a waste of electricity. Think about it. There are 2 sides to this.
But there are people who say that electric vehicles are a waste of electricity. We're not listening to them either. So why would we worry about these people?
Waste of a lot of other things as well, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay, design. The face is different, and the rest of it is pretty much the same as the Punch. It looks from the rear exactly like the Punch. The sides are the same. It's got different alloy wheels. So that's the design part of it.
With low rolling resistance tires and slightly more aerodynamic alloys and all of that.
So they didn't say anything about the aerodynamic inserts. This one didn't have it, but it does have different tires, and those are worth talking about as well.
Okay, we'll come to the tires.
So those were impressive. So the design-wise, you would largely look at this and say, yeah, this is the Punch, right? And it's a very familiar car. In terms of dimensions, it is a bit different.
Okay.
So it's a bit taller by a little less than 2 centimeters. Yeah, again, correct. So that's invariably they have to jack the car up a bit, means lift the car up a bit, because they want more room at the bottom because the battery pack is there.
Right.
And that translates into the car being taller. So your step up into the car will be a little bit more, but it's not really all that much.
Okay.
The length is more, and that's by 3 centimeters. And I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that now the charging door is in the nose.
Okay.
So it's behind the Tata logo that's on the grille. It's got a nice little door, double hinged. It swings open nicely. It doesn't just open like that, like a 90-degree. It comes and moves sideways like that. So it looks nice. It's nicely done. So I like that. And that's the CCS2 charger, because this obviously can take fast charging as well. So that's where the length has been added to the car.
Okay.
My concern with that was that what happens in the case of a front end impact. So they say that they have done some tests at single-digit speeds for bumper-to-bumper kind of scenarios, and it's not an issue. But at faster speeds, that is a question mark that remains unanswered.
Fair enough.
To me, the position for the charging port, which for converted vehicles was where the fuel filler was,
right,
was
a safe place. Yeah.
It was not a problem at all. I didn't find it inconvenient at any point. And the argument for this being in the nose is that it's the right spot because it's more convenient. In the more organized parking areas, I would say, yes, it would work, where you drive into your garage spot, your charger is mounted at the end over there.
Got it.
Right? But most places, buildings also that I end up seeing chargers on, it's on the wall on the side. It's not
at the front.
Up front.
Yep, you're right.
So I don't see this as being a solution by itself. It's cool, but I think it would cause people to think a bit more about this position. And when speaking to the Tata engineers, they said, where would you like it? So I said, I think the front fender would be nice. That's a convenient place. I said, what if the charger's on the other side of the parking spot? Tata also moved the charging port to the nose. And this is from a lot of customer feedback, because what used to happen was that because the high tension wires would be high voltage wires would be running up to the door there. They would run through the wheel arch, and they have to be in that orange color, right? And people used to see that, and they used to see it, consider it a risky thing, right? Because the cables can get cut or damaged because they're in the wheel arch, right? I mean, it's unlikely to happen, but the point is, it would give a cause for concern for people.
Okay.
So
yeah, because cause for concern is everything nowadays. So yeah, we must solve this one. Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons. And by the wires being shorter, obviously there's more efficiency, because now all the electrical components that the energy needs to flow down to are right there, right behind the nose, right? So
I thought the frunk was right behind the nose.
Oh, great, you brought that up. Yes, there's a frunk as well. The frunk sits on top of all the electrical hardware that's processing.
So you open the bonnet to get to the frunk.
Yeah.
Effectively the whole bonnet.
So that's the thing. Now, the frunk is I would just ignore it, to be honest, because
I'm finding it hard to ignore, because I'm watching somebody's social media content on the frunk, and they were saying, where do I hide these booze bottles? The cops are coming. Put it in the frunk. And I was like, oh my God, the levels at which this piece of content is wrong is just unbelievable. And this is in Bengaluru at the launch. So I'm like, holy crap, how can you do this? How can you lose sight of what's going on outside so comprehensively that you make content that does this kind of thing?
Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to digress. I seem to do this in the car stories a lot.
If somebody else brought this up, that you could hide it when you're coming from Goa. And the police are way smarter than you think. They know everything about every car before you know about it. So I would say, if you're thinking about it, don't try. They're much smarter than that.
Is there some heat in the area because the electrical components
Of
that the
course, there will be
frunk will heat up?
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll tell you, I don't know what you shouldn't put in the frunk, but you definitely shouldn't put chocolates in there, but they will melt.
Or ice cream.
Ice cream, actually, the 6-year-olds love melted ice cream.
Yeah.
So you're okay, still okay with that. Sorry.
The frunk is 14 liters, so it's really small. Actually, the only real use for it would be to put the charging cable there. But even then, I don't think that solution makes sense, because I can't imagine most people wanting to lift up the hood.
Yeah.
Because
it makes no sense.
Yeah. You're going to have to physically push it up, hold it there while you take out the cable. So it's just a thing to talk about, because it's not really big enough for you to pack in a backpack or even a trolley, which a lot of the pure electrics end up having that kind of room, but not in this small car. It's not been possible.
So Punch frunk junk.
Yeah.
Got it. Let's move on.
Yeah. So at the same time, we'll talk about storage at the rear, which is the same as the regular petrol,
Okay.
which is 360 something liters they claim, but it's in use it will feel lesser than that.
Okay.
Because this
Intrusions
is
or the height?
That way they measure it is different. They go all the way up and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's still a practical boot
Okay.
for a couple of suitcases, smaller suitcases and soft luggage. That's fine. The interesting thing is you don't get a spare wheel
at all.
No. So the space where the spare wheel sits exists, right? The separator between the boot floor and the spare wheel is actually stronger now because there's no spare wheel there.
Right.
So they had to make it stiffer. And instead what there is some storage space for the tire inflator kit, the jack and all of that. So effectively you have a circular shaped thing sitting there into which all these pieces slot in. So if you wanted to have a spare wheel, you could get one and put it in there because that unbolts the same way how you would unbolt the spare wheel. So I really couldn't get it why this was done. It doesn't make sense to me.
Cost cutting.
I guess to some extent. I think weight saving would be one part of it.
No, it sounds like cost cutting to me. The weight saving is an accidental benefit at best.
Could be. But I think in Indian conditions, people would want a spare wheel and there is space for it. So you're not going to get one.
So the first and obvious upgrade for your Punch electric vehicle is to buy a spare wheel.
Yeah.
Come on, Tata. I mean, surely we can do better than this, right?
I would definitely pack one in. Tata has been providing the puncture repair kits with a lot of their cars. I think with most of the cars, it comes standard now, even though there's a spare wheel and all. So that's good. That's there with this car as well.
Sure.
But I don't see why the spare wheel couldn't have been there, right?
Okay, fair enough.
So that's in terms of visually, what's the difference between the two? I should mention that LED headlamps are standard on the Punch EV, from the base variant. They only have 3 personas. And
somebody's listening.
Somebody from Tata told us that we get your point. We heard Shumi. We got the point, which is why we simplified it.
So what are they calling it now? Electric Thunderbolt and Lightning.
No, it's the same names, but so Smart, Adventure, and Empowered.
Okay.
And there is, of course, the S and the Plus in that.
S and Plus is one of the sunroof.
S is sunroof,
right.
And Plus is basically on the Empowered Plus. You get all the goodies that you're getting in this. So because it looks like the Nexon EV, there's a nice continuation of that theme. But on the inside, you're also getting a lot of the equipment that you got with the Nexon EV or the Nexon.
So it's coming down a full segment, and therefore that's a good thing.
Yeah. So a lot of those features, the Punch EV is 16 lakhs, 15.5 lakhs for the top spec variant.
No, 16. You'll add the spare wheel back.
Yeah. Okay. So 15.5, 16 lakh rupees for the Punch EV top spec. If you had to get those same set of features in the Nexon, you'd be spending another 4-5 lakh rupees. Right. And any other vehicle, it's got the full digital display for the driver's instrument cluster and the top spec variant. The lower variants have a smaller screen. Okay. Now that we move to the inside, the dashboard is the same. There's no real change to the dashboard. It's slight tweaks for the aircon vent design, the surrounds for that. Other than that, it looks pretty much like the Punch. The colors used are different. Like the one we drove was the top spec variant, which was the Empowered Plus. It has a lighter theme for the cabin, so it looked nice.
Punch EV Empowered Plus.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced, okay? I'm just saying, I know that you guys are listening, the Tata guys, and I don't have a problem with it, but I think put the words together and see if it sounds good. And Tata Punch EV Empowered Plus sounds unreal. Just saying, it's just feedback. I don't have a problem with it.
So, so coming back to where were we? Design. Yeah. Okay. So the only other change will be that now the drive selector is that circular knob that they have, which is still slow. And it is, you just have to wait for it to shift if you're just moving one mode. Otherwise, you can just quickly turn it. That's fine.
So one mode?
So if you want to go from park to reverse, so you click it once, you have to wait.
Oh, it has a slow reaction time.
Yeah, it reacts slowly.
Okay.
And then you just have to keep, sometimes you move one step further, you don't know whether you've hit it or not because you're waiting for it to change. So that's still slow. It's been the same for all the EVs.
Did they explain why?
I don't know why. I mean, I haven't asked them actually. Next time I will. Why it's slow.
Okay.
So it has a digital display on it, so you can see the modes changing. That's how it works. So
Which doesn't show you anything for a while before it says, oh, okay,
it
here.
just pauses and then it does it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So on the inside, that's basically the change there. What you
So
get,
it's the same as the Punch IC apart from these minor tweaks.
and the more additional equipment,
Okay.
right? So you're getting the digital driver's display. You're getting a 10-inch touchscreen infotainment on the higher variants, and a 7-inch on the lower. 7-inch, I think, for the lower variants, which is similar to the Punch, regular Punch. So they're still not giving you the 12-inch that you get in the Nexon EV, the infotainment. This is the 10-inch, but it's still a crisp display. You get a 360-degree camera, which is again really it's high quality.
Okay.
It doesn't feel low res and grainy. It feels sharp. A little bit, colors can be a bit off at times, but that's about it. That's fine. It gets ventilated seats, which the Punch does not get. So basically, when you compare this to the Punch, you realize there's a lot more packed into this.
Got it.
Right? So it feels more premium automatically because of that.
Yeah. And the price delta from ICE to EV?
Exactly. So that, I was wondering when to bring this up, but this is a great point. If you compare the base spec Punch to the base Punch EV, the difference is 5 lakhs. So it's 6 lakhs and 11 lakhs.
5 lakhs?
Yeah.
That's not a small amount of money.
That's not a small amount of money.
So they would have to give you extra features to justify it.
So in the base variant, you're not getting all of this, right? What you are getting are LED projector headlamps. You are getting more safety features as standard, right? You're getting 6 airbags, you're getting ESP, you're getting tire pressure monitoring system. So you're getting those added into the car. And even if you add all that in, and of course, the base variant of the Punch would be a manual, whereas this is an automatic by default, EV, right? So if you add all of that in, you still come to a price delta of, 3.
Yeah, 5 sounds a lot when you say it like that. Yeah.
So it's there or thereabouts, but I don't think that the lower variants end up being great value because of this.
Okay.
Right? Because the same argument when you now push it for the top spec variant, right? Again, the gap is about 5 lakh rupees. But you're getting a bigger battery pack. You're getting a more powerful motor. You're getting all this additional equipment which you aren't getting on the lower variants. So suddenly you look at that and say, okay, 16 lakhs makes a lot more sense than 11 lakhs.
Understood.
Right? You're getting a lot more for your money. Range is more, power is more, equipment is more.
Right.
So that's how I ended up thinking about it. Usually we talk about price being a 30% delta between 30 on a higher limit, 40%. This comes across as almost double, right? When you look at it at first. So it does seem hard to understand that price. And I would say the lower variants, that price doesn't make that much sense to me. Whereas for the higher variants, it does justify it better, much better.
So if they can repackage the base version a little bit better or lower the price, ideally lower the price, the base versions of the Punch EV would sound better.
Yeah.
But the top does come closer to justifying itself with a lot more equipment, range and performance. Okay.
Because you are getting a richer experience, much richer experience compared to the standard Punch because of that. And there's another factor why it feels...
You're feeling empowered, as it were.
Don't do that, man. Oh, man.
But you did say it has more power, more range, so it is empowered, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, no, let's move on. I mean, you're being very slow this time. I don't know why. We should move on.
Yeah.
We're circling this block only.
Oh, really? What the hell? I thought I was moving fast this time. Okay, cool. So the car has been raised. I don't know the floor has been changed at any level. I didn't spend time in the backseat. In the front, I couldn't really feel any difference. It was, you still sit high. You still have a lot of space. It's comfortable. The seats are great. And of course, ventilation function and all of that. So I enjoyed my time there. At the back, it's still, I think the catch for the Punch and why you wouldn't want to buy a Punch instead of a Nexon EV is that it's a narrower car. It's going to be not so spacious. If you think of it as a family car, for 3 people in the back, not happening. 4 people, okay. I think they can still be comfortable there.
And this is true ICE. It is still true for EV.
Yes,
not changed.
Correct.
Okay.
There's no difference between ICE and EV that way.
Got it.
So that's the catch for the Punch when you compare it to the Nexon. Otherwise, I think it's almost as well equipped. The one difference, of course, is the sound system. This also has the JBL 6-speaker, 4 speakers, 2 tweeters, but not as wow as the Nexons.
Okay.
But good, enjoyable system nonetheless.
Okay.
Right? Now, the second question in my head was, why did it take them so long?
Yeah.
Right? And you look at it and you think it's the Punch with just a new face. But as it turns out, the chassis that it's sitting on is new.
Why would Tata have to do a completely new chassis for an electric vehicle that they knew they were going to have to make anyway?
Excellent point. So they came up with their new chassis, which which was the base for the Punch, the Altros, which was supposed to be
EV ready.
EV ready. Yeah. But in the process of building these EVs, the 3 years of experience that they had, they realized they needed to go a step further.
Okay.
Right? To me, it sounds like something wasn't quite right there to deal with these additional weights, and maybe looking at the future requirements that this has to last for another 3-4 years, and how it would have to perform. They took the Alpha Arc platform. It's based on the Alpha Arc, but everything that they're saying says that it has been changed dramatically, right? So now it can go, it's much, much stiffer. And that's always a good thing because it helps with everything else. It helps with comfort, it helps with confidence, it helps with cabin experience of sound insulation, everything. It will help with that, right?
Always.
So they've done that. They've managed to reposition the mounting points so that where the motors sit, all of that is optimized. So I was told by Mr. Kulkarni, who's heading the products for the EV, that this is 30% stiffer. He gave me a wow figure of some sorts. I'll come to that. But more importantly, this is providing more range for an electric drivetrain. It's lighter, it's stronger. So it sounds like a lot of, cool.
Sounds like a mistake was made. And to Tata's credit, they realized there was a mistake and they fixed it. And that consumed the extra time.
And that was my thought as well. I just couldn't understand why this was required at this point, considering Alpha Arc is not that old.
Right? No, not just that. No, I'm looking at it from the other side where it looks like battery tech has sort of stagnated a little bit. So the batteries aren't becoming more power dense at the rate everybody's expecting. Prices aren't falling as fast as everybody's expecting. So maybe it could be the fact that they projected that, by then batteries will be like this. So this platform at this stage would be enough. And then you realize a couple of years down the line, say, hey, wait a minute, the batteries aren't moving in the direction we thought they would. And therefore you have to reevaluate. Certain amounts of strength is now needed because the batteries are as heavy as they were when we began designing. So there could be other factors to it.
I don't think that would be the case, at least from the weight standpoint, because if anything, they would pack in more and pack in as much as possible any which way, even though the density went up. I think that is like we spoke on one of the previous firsts, right? That we've gone, like studies have clearly shown that at one point we considered 200 to be enough. But we went to 300.
Now it's 300.
So I'm sure at some point the day 300 becomes normalized. You'll say, hey, 400, 500 is.
For sure.
I think something else was up. The cool thing about this is now that they say they can do front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, 4x4, all wheel drive.
So that does not sound like an updated platform. That sounds like a new platform.
Exactly. So it's very, so that he was also, he said, if you have to connect it to anything, it's the Alpha Arc, but it's new.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
And the one reference point he gave me was like the Phantom's, the chassis torsional rigidity is measured in.
What's a Phantom?
The Rolls-Royce Phantom.
Right? Okay.
So that used to have 20,000 newtons per degree, like that. So how much does the chassis flex when you apply a load to it, right? Force.
I was not honestly expecting a Rolls-Royce in a Punch.ev conversation though.
So see, that's my point. Like, which is why, like I said, we have a lot to talk about this, and I was also taken aback. So it's all of this is saying a lot. It sounds like I don't know why so much work happened for this, right? But then we drove. Right?
Sorry, the number, the
20,000.
And Punch? Alpha Arc?
So they didn't give me a figure for Alpha Arc, but for the Punch, said we are talking in that spectrum.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They didn't give me a number again. It said that most people would consider 15, 14 an achievement. This is
more than that.
This is in that, Okay. So it's a high bar that they've aimed for, and clearly they've gotten there. So I'm jumbling things up a bit about what I wanted to talk, the sequence I wanted to talk about in. But now that we've spoken about the chassis, I think the highlight for me on the Punch was how it rode, how the suspension worked.
Okay.
I stopped thinking about it as an EV, because invariably when you're driving an EV, you can't escape the sense of its weight, right? And in the Punch, I stopped thinking about it as an EV. I'm not kidding you. On the way, so we were, guess what? I wanted to tell you this. I went to Meko Kartikeya. Finally, I got a chance to go there.
You took an EV to Meko Kartikeya?
Yeah.
Oh, disaster.
So they had a...
No, because there's history here. If you haven't seen our previous MotorInc First, I've been there 3 times. One event was successful. The other 2 was an absolute disaster. One so bad I can't even tell you about it, right? So Meko Kartikeya plus EV, all my flags are up.
Okay, so this one breaks the jinx. Okay, so I had to drive to Meko Kartikeya and we were staying near the airport. So there's this back road I got onto. Again, thrilled about the road that I got because it wasn't the that awesome airport main road, right? This was more B roads. At one point, the roads completely disappeared. I took some videos and photos. I'll see if they're good enough. We can put them up. So, and invariably, first you're thinking about, let me just feel things out, right? And first couple of bumps, I was like, okay, this is pretty nice. Then I said, okay, let's try some more, and found some potholes hit. Okay, this felt SUV. I know we make fun of all these small things as not SUVs, but the way this dealt with those potholes. And then when we got to Meko Kartikeya, right, they had set up, there was some on-track stuff, and they had an off-road section. A lot of it was just...
Approaching Meko Kartikeya itself is an off-road section.
I gunned it over that. I have a video of that.
Oh my God.
I gunned it through that. On the way out, on the way in also, I was reasonably fast. On the way out, I gunned it through that. Just, I said, ab dekhenge jo hota hai. Right? Because I had hit a couple of potholes on the way. I hit everything after that, saying that I will find it where it starts getting noisy.
Potholes. When he says, I hate everything, he still means potholes.
Potholes, right? Cat size, everything, driving over everything, just to see, where does it start to go weak.
Correct. Impressive, huh? That impressive.
See, so 2 things. First, I stopped thinking of it as an EV. And this is 300 kilos heavier. 300 kilos heavier than the ICE version, right? And I did not like the ride of the ICE version. Where we shoot usually, right? Where it starts feeling bumpy.
It's a great road to do that.
Exactly, right? So I wasn't expecting this to be great shakes. So
great shakes is a very interesting way to put it.
This is great shakes because it doesn't shake. So when we went to Meko Kartikeya, I didn't know what was really planned over there. So they had one track part of it because this car gets ESP, it has safety, it has rear disc brakes. So they wanted to show how those things are working and how easy it is to drive and how planted it is. They also had an off-road section. So we got the briefing, went out on the track. The first thing, so I'm going to go in sequence here. First thing we did was acceleration and hard braking. So just down the straight and just before the corner, you have to stop. There was a checkpoint, like you have to stop before that. And I went and I hit it hard. And that's when, so in the Sonnet, when we spoke about the Sonnet, we didn't speak about the rear disc brakes because I didn't get a chance to experience how they work.
Okay.
Now in this case, I could feel it, right? Because when all that load is happening, all that transfer is happening, you can feel that little bit of additional braking force coming in from the rear, right? Which is the discs helping with that. So you could feel the 4-wheel disc brakes, which the higher variants get, step in and help out with this. Then they had some water weighting. This has 350 millimeters of water weighting. And then they had thing for articulation. But what I really liked was that they had this basically manhole covers. So the manhole rings bedded into the mud and you drive over them. At no point did it go cut.
Oh, nice.
No point. And then there was this set of steps which were all rocks. They were rock slabs and it would be maybe 10, 12 feet high and step after step going up. And I was told when I got to that point, somebody from Tata Suspension R&D was with me and he wanted me to experience this specifically. Thank you very much. I was a little nervous because I was like, I don't know, I'm going to go slow over this. He said, gun it. And then I just gunned it. It just went.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm genuinely taken aback that this. So why is this better than the Nexon? The Nexon EV got fixed with the suspension tune being better with the facelift. This has come straight out and hit a mark which makes it feel like a sorted package straight away, right? Whether it's bad roads, good roads, faster speeds, corners, it was good.
So dynamically, they've nailed it this time.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so you're not thinking of it as an EV. You do end up thinking of it as an SUV. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that is where the chassis has come in. Because if the chassis was not able to deal with that weight, with these kind of forces,
Hmm.
they won't be able to tune the
So
suspension.
they'll get what, 24 stars at the crash ratings now.
Well, on this front, I would give it 5 stars. On this front,
On the Kartikeya Singhee new car assessment program.
yeah, suspension 5 stars.
KS cap.
This is an example of how EVs should be tuned, and that's something we keep discussing. That one of the problems with the EVs is that the suspension can't quite keep up with the weight and the performance that the cars have, because you might look at it and say that's 120 horsepower and that has 120 horsepower, but electric horsepower is different from ICE horsepower because it comes on like that, right? It's instantaneous.
Yeah, if anything, it comes on so quickly that they have to actually take it back.
They have to dial it down.
Yeah, so in an ICE, especially in a performance ICE, you're trying to say, can we get the performance quicker so that it'll feel nicer for the human inside? On the EV, the challenge is the reverse, where they're saying it's too quick. And it will cause too many movements in the chassis and pitching and all of this.
Right.
Can we make this calmer so that it still feels quick but feels controlled rather than like an explosion?
So we did the off-road bit, articulation and all of that stuff. That was fine. And then they just, like, last part of the track, they said, go for it. And again, it was clean, nice, through the faster...
The direction changes, control over the...
So that's what the only weak link in all of this was the steering. The steering is quite just disconnected.
Lifeless.
Yeah. So while the chassis and suspension are just working, the steering does very little to build a sense of confidence.
Okay.
So after some time, you just learn to say that, okay, we can do this. I just have to ignore that the steering is not talking to me.
Okay.
So I got a really good mix of roads.
So it's a Tata car with an old school Hyundai steering.
Not as bad as that. not as bad as that. It's just disconnected in terms of feel. It's not rubber banding. It's not rubber banding. Thankfully, it's not rubber banding.
Okay.
That would be worrying. So it was good to drive there. It validated what I experienced on the road, on the off-road section.
Sure.
When I drove it a little bit faster, it gave me an idea of what to expect on highways. And I got a really good mix of roads to drive on. I got the normal apna state highway types, which is the new state highways, which are 4 lanes, which are not that wide,
right?
Which are not perfectly surfaced.
Correct.
So I got a mix of that first. So it was really nice to see how it's behaving there. Quick acceleration, smooth. So in terms of the motor, I'll just quickly run through this. There are 2 variants available. There's the lower variant, which gets 25 kilowatt hour battery pack. It has a 82 PS or so motor and 114 or something like that. Newton meters of torque, 140, something like that. Anyway, so that's the lower spec.
The numbers we can put. What's the range on that?
The range is a claim 315.
IDC.
Yeah. So
30% off for real world use.
So that's 200 pakad lo tum. Right. The one that we drove was a top spec, which is the long range. And that has a 35 kilowatt hour battery pack. That has a 122 PS. Motor is tuned to 122 PS.
Sounds empowered, yeah.
And 190 Newton meters of torque and a claim range of 421 kilometers.
So that turns out to what, 350-ish in the 300-ish?
300.
Okay, nice.
Right. Now the interesting thing about it is, we live in a software world. So this is all controlled by software.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the motor is the same as the Nexon EV.
Oh, great. Okay.
So it's just been artificially brought down to 122 PS.
Which means you could artificially raise it back to Nexon levels, in theory.
So we were discussing this in office yesterday. And the obvious thing was like, can't somebody hack into it? I said, yeah, I guess that's the idea. I said, but that's why you need connected cars today with these things, because the second anybody does that, they know that somebody's fiddling around with this, right? They'll have safety protocols for that. So the Nexon is 145 PS. It has 215 Newton meters of torque. Top speed is 150. This thing is 140. Does this not feel like it can go to 150? I'm sure it can do it easily.
You're saying it has a better chassis than the Nexon in some ways, so it should do better at 152.
It really was impressive on that front. So yeah, so the hardware, the electric hardware, battery packs, the same LFP cells that are being used in the Nexon are being used here. It's just a smaller unit battery size. But I would think, on the basis of my experience there, that with this motor, I mean with this top spec variant that we drove, I did about 50, I used 50% of the charge, and I did a little over 100 kilometers, 105, 110, something like that. And I was doing a lot of faster speed driving, right? So this, in the realistic scenario, mixed conditions, I'm going to say, would be 240, 250.
So
right?
enough for most people. Yeah.
Right? Which is similar to the Nexon.
Correct.
Right? And if you're talking about in-city usage, again, I would expect about 300, which is again similar to the Nexon. I wouldn't be surprised if this actually does a little bit more as well, because it might have a 5 kilowatt hour smaller battery pack, but it's also a smaller car.
Correct.
Right? It's a smaller, lighter car. So it will have certain advantages there as well. So it would be interesting to see, which is why I think this is pretty close to the Nexon, right? In terms of usability.
Maybe that's why they had to do the software cuts back to the performance, so that at least there is a logical difference as to why they would want to steer you to a Punch or help you upgrade to an Nexon.
Absolutely, which is why I'm saying this is convenient / forced, right? Otherwise, it's like what used to happen with the Porsches, right? Between the Cayman and the 911, the Cayman could have outgunned the 911, but Porsche never gave it the same engine as the 911 because it would have done better, right? So it's somehow Tata is also protecting the Nexon that way. So in terms of usability, this motor, Tata switched to a new motor with the Nexon EV facelift.
Yeah, you said,
right? So it basically has more revs to it, so which makes it smoother to drive at lower speeds. So all of that is the same. It's like the easiest way to start driving. There's literally no hassle. There's no fuss. And I've always enjoyed how Tata has tuned their drive modes. They have 3 on the higher variants: City, Eco, and Sport. So City is easy, smooth, no worries. Eco, the throttle gets quite slow. But they have a clever thing in that, like the Chetak. So if you whack it, it jumps to City mode. So,
temporarily.
Yeah.
Oh, not bad.
So it just gives you the bump up. So it's still usable. So again, they've thought about that. I really wish they'd done that for the City mode as well. That if I do this, then it jumps to the Sport mode.
Reason why I would hesitate as an engineer to think about doing it in multiple modes, multiple times, is that you're asking me to learn more and more temporary experiences, and it just makes the process of learning how this car behaves a whole lot more complex. So I think it's pretty clever that they've chosen to do it only in the Eco mode. But I would ask the question, saying, why is the Eco mode feeling so slow in the first place? Is the battery pack really that small that we have to be so conservative with our Eco mode? Or are so many of your customers driving so slowly that this is what it is, which at least gives us an information point about what we
I actually think of the Eco mode as learner mode, because you won't get worried about too fast an acceleration or anything. It's really...
Yeah, but you won't remain a learner for long, which is why to me, I want to design for the life of the car rather than for some temporary need, right? So the reason why the Ola's Eco mode is so hateful for me is because it doesn't work. After the range claim has been made and the brochures have been printed, it has no real work in the real world.
I don't think this Eco mode is, so maybe I'm not...
No, so which is why I'm saying that I wanted that Eco mode to be as realistic as, let's say, Aethers or Rivers or TVS iQubes. They're real world Eco modes that do a real job, and I don't see that utility running out because I upgraded my skill level or whatever. So to me, making it too slow has a problem of eventually somebody saying it's just so slow that I can't use it anymore.
So again, so I think the clarification, it's not that it's slow in terms of the pace that it goes up to.
Reactions are slow.
You just have to use more throttle to get the reactions that you want. It's the throttle is slow. It's not that the car is slow. You just have to do more to get that reaction from the vehicle. So that way. So it just asks you to put in more effort that way. So that's the modes. It also has the Regen modes, and now the Regen modes are feeling like they're getting there, getting somewhere. That's interesting. So level 3, so they have off, which is 0, then 1, 2, 3. 1 being the mildest, 3 being the strongest. So 3 is like you can feel it's slowing you down aggressively.
Nice.
And interestingly enough, I actually missed asking the Tata engineers about this, but straight out of the hotel when I started the drive, I could use the Regen and the battery was at 100%. I definitely used it well before, the Regen well before it was below 80%. So it was working even then.
How?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know, but it was working.
We should find out.
Yeah, this is interesting. So the Regen was really good. The level 3 is most aggressive. So you could easily use that in the city.
Single pedal driving?
No, not there yet, because what all the modes do, irrespective of which Regen level you're doing, you're using, is it slows you down till about 7 kph and that leaves you.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Then it just carries on at 7.6, 7.6 like that. It doesn't bring you to a stop. So I
Okay.
tried that in the different modes. So it's not bringing you to a halt,
Okay.
but it is quick enough. And now in city, I would use level 3 to just avoid having to use the brake regularly. You have to fine tune your usage a bit. Level 2 is, I think, a great in between.
Okay.
I was wondering, should I just stick with level 1 or level 3? Then I realized on the highway, I enjoyed level 2.
Okay.
It wasn't as aggressive as level 3, but good enough. You didn't have to be so careful with the throttle with it.
Nice.
So it was like there was a nice place to use the car in just about every setting.
Got it.
Right. So it was enjoyable to drive in a mix of conditions. And I genuinely at one point thought, hey, the battery's not gotten to 50% yet. I hadn't traveled that much in terms of kilometers. It was only about 100 something kilometers overall. But I was driving fast and I had a lot of wide open throttle inputs. I was out on the highway, overtaking, no problem.
Right.
I had a tracking car with me, an Innova, and invariably it would be left behind because this would just go. Right. In terms of acceleration, it's 0 to 100 in 9.5 seconds, whereas the Nexon EV is 8.9 seconds. 0.6 seconds away. It's enough to separate them. So there are all these little things which make you think like, come on. But still, the point is, in the real world, this car is going to be enjoyable to drive. It's going to be easy to drive, and it will be quick. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah. So it's a pretty well sorted package.
Okay, so since you brought up hassle-free and fuss-free or something, how's service?
How's service? So yeah, that's been quite clearly a pain point for many people in the comments. And
it's literally the most common comment on Mahindra and Tata stories.
Okay, now that we're on this point, let's talk about finish.
Oh no. Okay, I'm saying oh no because I've heard stories about Tata launches where the vehicles have had sometimes terrifying finish issues right out of the gate, which Tata has then worked on resolving later. But there are stories like this from almost every single Tata event that I have heard about in the last, 15, 16 years now. What happened this time?
So Punch has always been the one vehicle where I've said that, I'd be willing to put my money on because of how it feels built.
Sure.
Somehow it feels just much better. And that's the case here as well. But there are things, smaller details, which still you can notice. Like they have this white textured pad on the dashboard. You can see little fraying around the edges, the peel off from the edges. You can see that sticking out. Small stuff like that. The thing that got me, the thing that really got me was that now they're using a new logo. Everybody's been going to the 2D logo style because for the digital world, that's what works. The 3D designs don't work so well when you're using it digitally. So everybody's moving to 2D logos. So now they have this new 2D logo, which is basically the Tata road thing running off. That's done in white. And that's the logo. It doesn't glow, not yet. They'll probably do it in one of the later vehicles. That's sitting on the nose.
Yeah.
And it just I don't have OCD, but it triggered something, right? I kept looking at it, I said, that looks tilted.
No way. It's because they're trying to separate the Nexon experience. The Nexon's screen is a little tilted and the Punch's logo is a little tilted.
So does
the Tata logo lean to the I'm going to say communist? No, left.
It leans to the left, Shumi. It leans to the left. No, let's not get political.
No, I wasn't getting political. I just got confused.
So yeah, it's
all of the cars.
I'm going to put up the picture. You guys judge for yourself. Maybe I'm making this shit up. You look at it.
All of the cars?
I think so.
Oh no.
Yeah. So. I mean, those are the things that you just wonder, like, why?
Yeah.
How? Right? And again, maybe I'm imagining this. You guys can judge for yourself. I'll probably attach a link to that file and you can look at it as much as you want in the comments.
In full resolution.
Yeah, you check it out for yourself. Right? So, in the scale of things that we've experienced in the past, like in the Safari Harrier, we had the steering wheel like this. And in the Nexon, we had the screen tilted like this. This is nothing.
Yeah, we've had what? I was in overdrive at the point where they were terrified of us coming for the launches because everything seemed to happen to our cars. So I think somebody was driving and then the gear knob came off in their hand and somebody's tailgate got stuck open or stuck closed.
No, I've been locked inside a Nexon. I'm on the inside and I can't get out. So yeah, weird stuff has happened in the past, and there is this fantastic army that refuses to believe it. That's your choice. Wiser people will judge for themselves where they
No,
choose
look,
to put their money.
It doesn't always translate into the production car. Sometimes it does. The Tata Service complaints, for example, are a perpetual in the comment stream. So whether you think of this as being negative or not is completely your problem. Our job is to tell you what happened, and if you go back and ask all the various journalists who attended the Tata launches, what goes awry at Tata launches is a real, like a meme of its own, because there is always something that happens.
So, and I think, I don't know what it is, right? Tata has this, I mean, there's a soft spot for Tata, right? I'm going to own up about that also, because somehow they have the values of, design and where they want to take cars and what kind of cars they want to make. They vibe with people who care about cars, right? So you're always hoping and saying that they've done it this time, right? They've done it. And every time they do take that step forward, but every time there's that one little thing which will be like, okay, almost there, almost there, right? So I'm happy to say in the Punch, it was this. And for all it's worth, it's not getting in your way. And
you can't even see it once you're inside the car.
Yeah, you're correct. You won't be able to see it once you're inside the car. So that's about it. That's what I would complain about in the Punch in terms of fit finish. Other than that, which the regular Punch was already good at, I think. So there's no surprise. If anything was worse than this, I would have said something has become worse. Right. So they've maintained that. And on the whole, the experience is premium. Right. When you compare it to the Punch, yes, this is priced at a premium, the EV, but the experience is also premium.
Okay,
right?
Good.
And when you're traveling, it feels that way as well. I think there are the changes to the chassis and everything have somehow translated into a cabin also feeling quieter and more relaxing because of it.
Okay.
So which is why I kept thinking, oh man, I've not really traveled much. I've spent
So will this chassis and these updates also go back to the normal Punch? And
no.
Why not?
Because the mounting points, they had to separate that out for the electric. So where the motors sit, how they are.
So the Punch EV is genuinely superior to the Punch ICE.
Yeah. So I asked obviously about the crash test rating, and that's not available yet.
So I'm sure they said, but guaranteed 5 stars.
I would expect so. I mean, I would hope for nothing less.
They didn't say officially guaranteed 5 stars. I'm sure they did.
Actually, again, I missed the presentation time. So I was there later. So I was just having conversations. So it was good. So I would expect it to be 5 stars, whatever. Right? So this is...
I already gave it 24.
24,
on the Kartikeya Singhee New Car Assessment Program. So we're okay.
24 star rated. So yeah, that's basically the Punch. And we didn't talk about the charging. So it comes with a 3.2 kilowatt AC home charger. You have the option of a 7.2 kilowatt AC home charger, which is a 50,000 rupee extra. About 50,000, with which charging times are about 6 hours.
To 180?
10 to 100.
Okay.
Yeah. And with 3.3 kilowatt hours, it's 13 for the long range variants. And it's a little bit lower for the 25 kilowatt hour version. It can take 50 kilowatt DC fast charging, in which it goes up to 80% in under an hour.
Okay.
So it's good.
Good. So are you suggesting it's quick summary time?
Time for you to score 16 on 10.
The new Tata Punch EV is here. And what Karthik is saying is it's an extremely impressive car, and a large part of that is coming from the fact that they've had to completely re-engineer the platform it's based on. So it's a very, very stiff chassis, and it really does make a difference, because they tried light off-roading, they tried sharp obstacles. He drove on a whole bunch of B roads, highways, bad roads, all of it. And this Punch EV is just doing stuff that the Punch IC does not do. I don't think the Nexon also does it as well as this. So it's controlled, it's quiet inside, it's extremely comfortable. So that to him is the standout, most impressive thing about the Punch EV. You've got the same motor as the Nexon, slightly derated by software, so that primarily Tata can maintain a difference between the Nexon and the Punch. You've got 2 versions of the Punch in terms of the powertrain, one less powerful, less range, the other more powerful, more range. He drove the top version, which is called the M-Powered Plus, and he says performance was nice. and overtaking things is easy. The real world range should be 200 to 250 kilometers. So the net result of all of this is that the car looks similar to the Punch IC with small styling updates here and there. The interior is as premium as it has been. It's comfortable except for the rear seats, all of that. But Kartikeya says it might actually be one of the best small family electric vehicles you can buy, and likely to become one of the cars that we consider the benchmark for this kind of car. And everything that we test from here onwards, if it turns out to be everything that we saw in the Bengaluru first drive that Kartikeya went for, this will be the car that will become the reference point for. The Punch EV does that. Does the other one able to match it or beat it? The prices are a little bit odd because the base Punch EV is 5 lakh rupees more than the Punch ICE base, which is 11 lakh rupees. Seems like a large delta given how much more you get for the Punch EV. The top models of the Punch EV are a little bit easier to justify. They're also 5 lakh rupees, but you do get more performance, you do get more range, you do get more equipment. And a lot of that more equipment is coming from the Nexon downward, so it does feel like a more premium, more luxurious car. That's the story of the Punch electric vehicle. The next for us is to get the car here, put it through our set of tests, and then see how it does also on the Kartikeya Singhee electric vehicle assessment program.
And in addition, it gets 6 airbags as standard.
Safety equipment is pretty comprehensive. You get ESP, you get ABS, obviously. You also get 6 airbags as standard. You have 3 levels of Regen. Kartikeya enjoyed using that as well, and level 2 of Regen seemed like a very reasonable middle ground between too much braking and too little braking, and it was really useful. So overall, really, really big upgrade to the Punch. A really good electric vehicle has come out of it. Point number 2, the base model is a little bit hard to look at in terms of value for money, but the top models do justify their value for money quite a bit. And therefore, everybody else who's in the same space, C3 Aircross, etc., please watch out. 2 things to note, the charger port has moved into the nose, which has some usability issues associated with that specific location, but it is how it is. And the Punch EV comes in personas, as Tata says, 3 personas. So you have the base version, the middle one, and the top one, and that's it. When does it go on sale? Deliveries?
It's already on sale.
So it's already on sale. Deliveries have started. Go check it out. Take a test drive. And we know you guys have complained about the Tata Service experience. Please do give us more information on what goes wrong with the Tata Service experience. It does help us inform other people who are asking questions about Tatas. Since this is an often discussed topic, the more we know, the better we can do with you. Is that
super?
So what happens next now for Tata in terms of vehicles? Electric vehicles and electric vehicles in general, what are we looking forward to?
So the next electric will be the Curve, not the Altroz.
Again, okay, the Curve is the large car.
The SUV with this coupe-like roofline. Yeah.
CURVV.
Yeah. So that will be next. But considering what they've built with this platform, right? I would be looking forward to the next vehicle coming from Tata EV.
This same platform will scale to the size of the Curve. It should.
It will definitely go to the Altroz.
Okay.
So Altroz will also use this. So that
should be a great car to drive.
That will be a great car. Yeah. Okay. Again. So does it go to the Curve? I'm unsure. But
no stress.
If they're taking the learnings from this, even if it is not the same thing, if they're applying the same ideas, that will be impressive.
Okay.
I think it does in some form and fashion apply to that. As for Mahindra,
generally the other electrics, what else?
So Mahindra's BE family is next year, 2025. 2024, we're supposed to see the XUV 700 electric.
This is called what? The 7EE?
7E.
Just put a Dundee through the O, no?
I'm not 100% sure about these timelines anymore since we're not tracking this so closely, but this is where it was supposed to be. But that's when you can expect that to come. But Mahindra's already updated the 400, which, had all those issues, no traction control and
that
all
was
of
about 2-3 months ago, I think.
Yeah, so they updated it with a new dashboard and features, so it's become
better,
more complete. So that's also happened. So yeah, we're going to see a lot more of this coming our way now. So, and good products. That'll be nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before I sign off?
Okay. Yeah. A lot of you ask, should I go for an EV? Let's take the example of the Punch EV. If we even take, and if we are being generous at the lower end, saying that the difference is 3 lakh rupees, that's the premium you're paying for the EV over the ICE. That's over 40,000 kilometers worth of petrol, right?
Yeah.
So it just comes down to how much are you going to use it, right? An EV is a richer experience. It is more enjoyable in other ways. Sure, if you're buying it as an indulgence, if you're buying it for the experience, fine, go ahead. There's no question about it. If you're looking at it from a value standpoint, keep in mind, in the case of EVs, you're paying the lower cost of running that you get later. You've paid for it upfront.
Correct.
By going electric, right? So just keep that in mind. Be clear about how much you're going to use it, because it's going to simplify your life, and be clear about why you're buying an EV.
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other sides of the picture, which is battery replacement cost or battery recycling, honestly, the answers aren't clear yet. They will become clearer as time passes. We are expecting to have a deluge of old batteries that we need to figure out what to do with also. There are many, many questions that the EV world has not yet answered. But transitions are like this. There is a little bit of chaos. There is a lack of information. This is how we progress forward. Will EVs not be our future? I'm pretty sure that one way or another they will be.
Electrified for sure.
Yeah. What will turn your wheels will be electricity. Where the electricity comes from, how it is stored, how much electricity will we get from there, is it renewable, etc. All of these questions, there is some amount of confusion. It will get sorted. But the efficiency with which those wheels are turned by electricity, ICs cannot match. So ICs have to go. This there is no doubt about.
Perfecto.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for watching MotorInc First. This was about the Tata Punch electric vehicle. If you haven't answered any question, if you missed anything, just leave us a comment. We'll get right back to you. This episode also appears on Apple, Spotify, Google, and Amazon as an audio-only broadcast if you'd prefer that way. A lot of people tell us that at weddings, when they're getting bored, when they're doing housework, and many other situations, the audio only really helps. If you haven't tried it, when you're trying to do something which you're not 100% focused on and you're okay with something running in the background, turns out that MotorInc First is a good thing to listen to. Maybe you want to try it. And if you have tried it, please do tell us more about your experience and how we can improve MotorInc First. Thank you so much for watching.